Do you know those days where your alarm has gone off, but you, in your infinite wisdom, have decided to press snooze 1,000 times? So now it's 2 hours after you were meant to get out of bed. You've got 1,001 jobs to do, but we are nowhere near completing any of those. You're angry and frustrated at yourself and wish that you had just got out of bed when you were meant to. But you know that you can't continue to be angry and frustrated at yourself, because you have to just keep on going forward, because there's no going back. We can't fix what we've done. We've got to keep going forward. Yeah, that's my day. So I'm 90% sure this camera is crooked, but we are just rolling with it and getting through this video. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you the September recap of the Monochromatic Year Project Pan book edition. So those of you who are new to this, I am doing the Monochromatic Year, which was created by KaliFab. I'll have her all linked down below, and the concept was originally a makeup panning adventure where you panned items that fit the color of the month every month. But I decided I'm going to do books, and this is my reading challenge for 2020. I have been doing really well, but the last month has been a bit slow. So let's start by referring back to what we're going, and then we'll talk about where we're going. The September colour was plum/purple, and I actually did manage to get through 3 books. However, I will say that this was at the start of September, and once we got to the end of September and uni started back up again, I have put all that to the side, and in this month I'll be surprised if I actually manage to read that much going forward. But let's talk about what we've already read. So the first book I read was Frey by Joss Whedon. It is a graphic novel, and it is set in the same universe as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it is set quite far in the future, in a bit of a dystopian style world. So you've got this impression that there's like the higher ups, and then there's, I guess, the slums of the city where she's currently living. It's a bit hard because I don't want to give too much away of the plot, but essentially there has not been a vampire slayer in a very, very long time, because there was no need. Somehow the vampire slayers banished the demons, etc., from the world. So you didn't have a vampire slayer for hundreds of years because it wasn't necessary. Now there has been a shift and things are starting to change. And Frey is essentially, she is the new Slayer, though she is not aware of that when the book starts. It kind of follows a similar line to the original Buffy in some aspects, because there's a young girl and some guy rocks up and is basically like, yo girl, you the Slayer. And she's all like, nah bruh, nah. So, but then obviously the world is going to chaos, and it turns out that yes, she is the Slayer. But here's the twist. She does not have any of the Slayer memories that she is meant to have. Where did they go? What happened? That is for you to find out. But it does follow a very good storyline, and it's really interesting to see a different angle on the story. I will say that if you are not an avid fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you can totally read this graphic novel. You do not need to really have any history. You don't need to know about any of the lore in regards to Buffy and Angel and that universe, the Buffyverse. You can completely have no understanding of that and still gain enough information to understand what is happening in the graphic novel and enjoy the graphic novel. I did enjoy it. In fact, I then went and looked to see if there is a second to it, because it is written in a way that there is a bit of a cliffhanger. Unfortunately, there is not. It is a one-off graphic novel, which was a bit of a disappointment, but that is the way it is. In saying that as well, I will say there was one tiny little aspect that kind of confused me in some ways, And when I was talking to a friend about it later, they said that makes sense in regards to when you refer it back to the original Buffy series. So I feel like it's a little segment. It was literally one square, one block in the whole story that was very odd. And it didn't seem to fit with the rest of the tone of the story. It did, but it didn't. It's hard to explain because I don't want to give away too much of a spoiler, but it does it does revolve around a kiss that seems very out of place. Though at the same time, it does fit, like I said, in regards to this idea of vampires and how it affects them. Refer back if you are aware. I guess a bit of a hint, and if you're a Buffy fan, the whole weird thing that happened with Spike once he turned his mother. So that kind of concept plays out again a little bit in one little square in the graphic novel. So that was something that I think the graphic novel would have been better off without, especially considering there is no second book, so you can't develop what is going on or why those feelings or what has happened there further. So it just kind of comes across as this bit of oh, okay, that's what's going on now. But either way, I actually really enjoyed the graphic novel. I'm a massive fan of Joss Whedon and his work, and I'm a big Buffyverse fanatic. If you are a Buffy fan, please let me know down in the comments, because I do enjoy, being able to talk about my favourite shows and things with people. So if that's something that you would like to have a chat about, let me know down in the comments, because I will definitely... And if you've actually read Frey, I would love to hear what your thoughts on the graphic novel and how it fits within the verse or doesn't fit within the verse. I'd like to hear more about that down in the comments as well. So definitely let's start a bit of a conversation about it. So the next book I read was also a small book, and it was a Star Wars book, and it was called Be More Leia. Find Your Rebel Voice and Fight the System. It was by DK Publishing, and it was essentially a little bit of a inspirational you can do it book. It only took me a couple of hours to read, if that at all. It was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I think it would be a book that would be a nice gift for a Star Wars fan. Would it be something that I would recommend reading for as a book? Not really. It is more of a fun, inspirational, what to do to raise your rebel voice, and bases it off of these ideas that what Leia has done within the Star Wars universe, and given you connecting ideas. It was good. I did enjoy it, and I did get a laugh out of it, and I do think that some of the messages were quite poignant. And I definitely would gift it to a friend who was a big fan of Star Wars. But I mean, if you're looking for a very, very deep and meaningful self-help style guide or inspirational book, I probably wouldn't recommend that. But if you're a big Star Wars fan, I would definitely recommend giving it a read. So the last book that I did manage to read in the month of September was Signs from Spirit, Inspiring True Stories from the Afterlife by Mitchell Coombs. So Mitchell Coombs is an Australian medium, and this book is essentially filled with experiences that he has seen and heard from people with connections to the afterlife, and events that have happened. It is a very interesting book because you have to read it. I think for you, if you're going into reading a book like this, you already have to have some form of a belief in the spirits and the spirit world. Now, reading the book for him, sometimes I can be a bit skeptical. I'm not going to lie. I am an avid believer in spirits and the spirit world, but I do not know whether it is as Mitchell says, basically. And And that is okay too, because you can believe in something and not believe in it the exact same way that somebody else is, or not believe in everything that somebody else is telling you. But in saying that, respect to everybody who is in this book and all their stories, I do believe that these happened to them, and that there probably was a lot of meaning from the spirit world in regards to the events that happened. I did enjoy this book. It was a very quick, easy read. It was essentially a story after a story, and then also it was provided some inspirational quotes from Mitchell regarding it. So this one here says, signs from spirit, whether they appear in dreams or the waking world, always offer comfort and guidance. But sometimes the message is simply to say hello or remind us we're loved. So things like that are in this book, and it is quite lovely, and it does mention things that you might not have realized could or could not be a voice from the spirit world. One of the ones they do mention is when, you know, the radio turns on without you touching it, or certain things that seem to happen that don't make much sense. It is a really nice book, and the thought that there are, you know, people from your past out trying to help you, that is just, it is just a nice thing to read about and believe in. So I really did enjoy this book, and I do have a few other books similar to this that I will probably be reading within the next 12 months or so, but we will see how it goes. So yes, if you are a believer in spirit and in mediums, and you have not heard of Mitchell Coombs, he's an Australian psychic medium, I would recommend giving this book a read. So now we are heading into October, and October's theme is black, which is definitely a pretty good theme to go with, because a lot of the time, even if there isn't black on the cover, there normally is, because most text is black. So I'm looking forward to try to get as much red as I can in October, but like I said, university has just gone back, and it is a lot of work. I have got a lot of work to do, so I don't think I'm really going to have very much time for leisurely reading, especially because I work full-time. There just is not enough hours in the day. But either way, we are heading into October. Color is black, and I'm hoping to at least get through 1 or 2 audiobooks in that time, even if I don't get through any physical books. So my aim is to aim for at least 1 audiobook, but we will see how that goes. Well, really, that's all I've got for you today. So I'm Verity, and that was the 9th update for the Monochromatic Year book edition. And now to the outro.